Welcome to the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
Yo, what it do? Thanks for joining me. This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast, where I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. My name is you. That's the letter, not the word.
You! Detective, you? Not you, you! Who? You! Who? Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth? Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man. You!
That's
Detective,
the letter, not the
you.
word. And it always is the letter, not the word. I am your host, What It Do. You can find this podcast at most places you're going to find your podcast. This season, Chiefs Focus, who this show is presented by, Chiefs Focus is doing something different, something new by putting all their podcasts under one umbrella. And if you subscribe to Chiefs Focus podcast, you'll find the 100-Yard Dash in there. So please go subscribe to Chiefs Focus and find the 100-Yard Dash podcast. That way, in your podcast, in your Twitch streams, YouTubes, but you can always find me at IMUNKC on YouTube. So just go there and subscribe, or like and subscribe for sure. I do this thing about once a week, normally Wednesdays. Sometimes I do it earlier, sometimes I do it later, especially since the football season is happening. Thursdays starts a new week. Thursdays is the beginning of a new week, so I try to hit this up on Wednesdays after everything, the dust is settled and all that kind of jazz. So you can interact with me and join me by joining the live StreamYard, the Chiefs Focus Twitch stream, or you can just hit up the Chiefs Focus YouTube page. Like and subscribe as well, again, and I thank you for listening. So let's just get into it. So today we're going to have the news, the recap of week 1. How exciting. And the hot takes I've seen, and then we're going to close. So let's get up in there. There ain't much news going around. Chris Jones is reported back. Oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers has been set on ice for the season. But as far as anything else, there's not really much news. But those two things, and we'll discuss those. I'll discuss those here later on. And they do definitely affect everything. They affect so much. The Hollywood scriptwriters might be on strike, but the NFL scriptwriters are not, because this week was wild. So let's get up in it. Let's get on with this week 1. Every time. All right. With this week 1, I say this with a caveat. It's week 1. It's a double-edged sword. That's just the way it is. It's a double-edged sword. You're happy football's back, but at the end of the day, you look at it and it's like, man, this is not the same product that's on the field mid-season. That's why we call it mid-season form. You know, the guys that are winning now might not be winning mid-season or close to the end of the season. That's why I say it's week one. So when my kids, I love my kids. I got 5 of them. They are they're all 7 and under. Okay, I got 5 under 7. And they are easily excitable as you can imagine. 2 girls, 3 boys. And even when I walked through the door, I could have left for 10 minutes. And I walk in the door and here they are screaming, "Dad, dad, 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 dad." Like so much has gone on in the 10 seconds I left. 10 minutes I left. And so if you see me with them, you might hear me say a lot, relax, relax. And that means they calm themselves, take a breath, whatever. And I'm gonna tell you the same thing. Relax. This is week one. No, there's gonna be some overreactions. I'm gonna go over from a few of them in the next segment, but man, you're not as bad as you think you are. You're not as good as you think you are. It goes both ways. This is the week. This is week one. Relax, relax. But anyway, let's get into it. The Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions roar on the Chiefs' territory. Lions are 1-0 as they beat the Chiefs 21-20. Are the Lions the 2018 Chiefs? And I ask that because if you look at it, the Chiefs got rolling a lot. The Chiefs got rolling with Alex Smith under the helm. But in 2018, the Chiefs first had Patrick Mahomes, and it was the dawn of a new era. And while the Lions had Jared Goff last season, this feels different. And they were so close to making the playoffs last year that this year is playoffs or bust. And the Lions are moving with a different swagger. The Lions are making moves differently than they have in years past. These ain't your grandma's Lions no more. These ain't them cowardly lions on the Wizard of Oz. This ain't that. And Goff might be a little bit underrated, just a little bit. Don't go overboard with that too. Relax. They might be the 2008 Chiefs, and I have an article that I was writing in my drafts I've been writing it since the beginning of summer. We'll talk about that later. But for the Chiefs, with the drops, just be happy for Chiefs fans. Be happy that you discovered the issue now. You discovered the issue. It's a long season. This is one game of 17, 18 if you add the bye week. There's another 7 weeks before the trade deadline, dang near 2 months. You got time. Andy Reid's not pushing the panic button, nor should he. But I guarantee you, Veach and his eyes are open. Chris Jones is reported to camp, which they've reworked his last year of his contract, which somewhat helps him realize that they can go do some other things elsewhere. So keep that in mind. Next, the Browns put their brown in a paper sack, light it on fire, and throw it on Cincinnati's porch. The Bengals lose 3-24. The Bengals go to 0-1, and the Browns go to 1-0 as the Browns whoop up on the Bengals. Now, Joe Burrow looked very bad in this game. He only throws for 82 yards. Not very reassuring for your first game after that huge extension. He got extended. His contract got extended. Was it Thursday night? In fact, it was Thursday, right as the banner for the Chiefs, the Super Bowl banner was being unveiled, which was petty as all get out. But hey, this kind of pettiness and this kind of situation is what fuels rivalries, and I am here for it. Kansas City versus Cincinnati for the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So I'm interested. I'm very, very interested. Um, Burrow throws for 82 yards, not very reassuring after the extension. Maybe his arm was tired from counting all that money from his new contract. But the Cleveland Browns have a new defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. Joe Woods is gone. Jim Schwartz is here. He had his dudes ready to play. And that's one thing I do love about Jim Schwartz. He was the Eagles defensive coordinator a while ago. He was the Lions head coach. Not so great as a head coach, but I love him as a defensive coordinator. And Watson, while he did not have a great game, he's getting back to his former self. So we'll see what happens as he warms up during the season. And honestly, Bengals fans, Cincinnati, relax. This, to me, it feels like the Bengals got to warm up to the season anyway. They always end up, for the last 2-3 years, they've ended up with 10 wins, but they always go on a horrific start. So they warm up to the season. So relax. The Baltimore Ravens put the Texans in their place as they whoop up on them. 25-9 takes the Texans to 0-1, takes the Ravens to 1-0. This game went exactly how I expected. The thing about it is, I thought maybe, just maybe, that the Texans would come out the gates a little hotter than what they've come out, but Baltimore wasn't having none of that. So they stifled them. They made sure. And the Texans defense showed some sparks, which with Will McDonald IV, they showed some sparks, but Baltimore is just too much for him. So we keep it moving. The Falcons show the Panthers who's boss in the division as they beat up the Panthers. The Panthers score 10, the Falcons score 24, and this was the division battle. No one on offense had a particularly great day. But Jesse Bates, let's talk about him. Jesse Bates, formerly of Cincy, the Cincinnati safety, the former Cincinnati safety, had two interceptions of Desmond Ridder, and I'm sorry, not of Desmond Ridder, of Richardson. Nope. I don't know why I'm allowing the Panthers quarterback to skip my mind, but we keep it moving. Y'all know who I'm talking about. So we keep it moving. I'm not going to belabor you. Now, Bijan. Let's talk about Bijan. I think he said, now I looked up how he pronounces his name. He says his mother says it's Bijan. And he says he started calling himself Bijan. So I'm going to call him man Bijan. Bijan Robinson showed the skill necessary to make, if he can stay healthy, showed the skill necessary to make Atlanta something special to deal with. And on that, I saw it on that touchdown pass. And if he could put together a decent season, and also Kyle Pitts puts together a decent season, they could give that division a run for their money. I'm not saying they could win it, but they could definitely make it interesting. So that's all I got for that. Let's keep it moving. The Bucs shocked the world and pillaged the Minnesota Vikings as they beat them 20-17. Takes them to 0-1. Takes the Minnesota Vikings to 0. Takes the Bucs to a 1-0. Takes the Minnesota Vikings to 0-1. Baker Mayfield is better when he feels like nobody believes in him. And there's nothing more evident than in this game right here. I just see it every time. Back when he was with Oklahoma, when he was with the Rams, when he was with the Browns, when everybody was talking bad about him, that's when he shined the most. Now on to other things. The run defense for the Bucks looks stout. Looks stout. Now for the Vikings, Jordan Addison is showing potential. There's still some work that needs to be done there, but Jordan Addison is showing some potential. So we'll keep an eye on that and let's keep it moving. The Tennessee, when the Saints go marching in, they march out with a win. The Tennessee Titans lose to the Saints. Titans are 0-1. Saints are 1-0. Derek Carr showing that same renewed energy that you get when you get with a new team. He's showing renewed energy with the Saints. He's getting great chemistry with his wide receivers, especially on that strike downfield to win on the eventual last touchdown of the game. Now, let's go over to the Titans. Mike Vrabel. He expected his defenses to hold up a little bit better than what they did. And while that's all well and good, this is the first game of the season. Relax, right? But this is the first game of the season. So you might need to give your defense a little bit of a break, considering this is the first game of the season. But Mike Vrabel is a defensive guru, as it were. So he expects a lot from those guys. So we'll see how that materializes and whatnot over the year. But we'll see how that works because they did not hold up on this end. Let's keep it moving. The Arizona Cardinals get commanded. Anyway, the Cardinals get commanded. Cardinals 16, Commanders 20. You can complain about the work, but you can't deny the results. That's what I'm going to say about that offense. It was reported that players were complaining to the head coach, Ron Rivera, about how hard Bieniemy was coaching them during camps. And of course, I've always equated that to him being a protege of Andy Reid, because Andy Reid has notoriously had one of the toughest the toughest camps of anybody, because he's from the old school. He started coaching in 1999, and that was back when you was having 2-a-days and you was doing all that extra stuff, right? But you can see where the extra work will get you further ahead. Put in a little extra work. The Cardinals, they came out with a little bit more fire than I thought they would. Now, I can't remember which team had more penalty yards than the Cardinals had more penalty yards than passing yards. I think they had 122 penalty yards, and they only had 114 passing yards. But I'm going to tell you, while I keep it moving, Zaven Collins finally is showing the player that I expected him to be. He hasn't been showing that since he got drafted, but I think this is year number 4, and the contract year is undefeated, like I always say. So Zaven Collins is finally showing himself to be the player that I expected. We keep it moving. The Jags hunt down the Colts, as the Jags scored 31 and the Colts scored 21. Anthony Richardson did not have a bad game this game, but the guy that I was looking at this whole game was Calvin Ridley. That kid he had that year off last year. He was released from the Falcons. He was suspended from the Falcons for betting for the full year, gambling. And I don't remember if it was on the team or I don't remember. I don't remember the specifics, but I knew he was gambling. and he got suspended from the team. The team inadvertently let him go, and the Jaguars picked him up and stashed him on the roster until this year. He did not disappoint. He's going to be perfect for a guy like, I almost called that man Joe Burrow, and I can't remember his name, but keep it moving. But I expect that to be great chemistry down there. And the Chiefs play them this upcoming week. It's going to be interesting. But the Colts held their own. Anthony Richardson, not bad. I expect a little bit more, but this is, again, game number 1. Relax. We keep it moving. The San Francisco 49ers, the Steelers, get stole on by the 49ers in their own house. The 49ers scored 30 and improved to 1-0, while the Steelers score 7 and downgrade themselves to 0-1. Now, I thought they got shut out because I stopped watching that game. Once I saw what was happening, that game got off my TV as quick as I could get it off of there. That was a bad juju game. That was just, I've lauded Mike Tomlin for being a guy that is able to never have a losing season. But a game like this, boy, it makes you want to take that lauding back. It really does. But again, I'm going to say it again. Relax. This is game number 1. We're going to relax. Let's relax. Woo-sa. Keep it moving. The Packers show Chicago that all you need is love. Packers scored 38. The Bears scored 20. The Packers improved to 1-0 with Jordan Love at the helm, while the Bears start off 0-1. Jordan Love is tired of y'all disrespect. He ain't Aaron Rodgers, but he also ain't no scrub either. And he showed he didn't do nothing crazy, spectacular. He did a little bit of something, though. He did his thing this game, and he's tired of y'all disrespect. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. The head coach, I almost said Mike McDermott, and now his name is escaping me. He's got a brother. But anyway, the head coach for the Green Bay Packers, whose name escapes me, I said, I don't know if he's a good coach. Because when you got a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who basically essentially runs the offense, I don't know who's a good head coach and who isn't. Because Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they run the offense. You can literally focus on something else while they run the offense because they're just that good. But sad, looks as if the Packers head coach is not a bad play caller, because I saw Matt LaFleur. That's his name. He's got a brother named Mike LaFleur, but we keep it moving. This is again, relax, because Matt LaFleur, I do have my questions about him. Like I said, with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to put a whole heck of a lot into it because he's one of the great improvising artists of our time. So you don't have to put a whole heck of a lot into it. You got to put enough into it. Don't get me wrong, but I just always have to put a little bit of a caveat in there when you got guys like Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. When you got guys like that, until you have proven otherwise, we keep it moving. Oh, let me mention this. The Bears scoring 20, that's pretty decent. But this is their home. So Jordan Love came and murked them in their own house. So hate to see it, but hey, it happened. Let's keep it moving. The Eagles fly high above the Patriots as they beat them 25-20. Eagles are 1-0. Patriots are 0-1. With that, Bill O'Brien's game plan looks better than whatever they were running out there last year. I'm just saying. And we have heard that Bill Belichick is on the hot seat, or his varying degrees of heat for him on his seat. It's not like a sure thing he'll be back in 2024. So you don't know. So it's good to see them. It's good to see the Mac named Mac Jones actually get off, but not against these Philadelphia Eagles, man. That team is a tough team to beat. Let's keep it moving. The Cowboys. Hold on. We ain't supposed to be on no Cowboys. Let's keep it moving. The Dolphins splash water on Chargers. Now, the Chargers don't work anymore. Dolphins scored 36. The Chargers scored 34. Tyreek went off. Tua went off with Tyreek. If Tua can stay healthy, which is the huge caveat, Miami might have one of the best offenses. I wouldn't say ever, because he still got the greatest show on turf. But he could, because Mike McDaniel is letting them dudes throw it all over the place, and they're doing it. So if Tyreek Hill only played the Chargers in his career, he'd have 1,095 yards in 13 games. Tyreek Hill knows the Chargers inside and out. And he's played the Chargers when he was with the Chiefs. He played them 2 times every season. With the Dolphins, he only plays them once a season. But the fact that you have 1,095 yards in 13 games, crazy stat. Made me look it up, because I just realized every time he just has himself a game against the Chargers. So Tyreek, surge protector, went off. Keep it moving. The Raiders make sure everyone sees they're top of the AFC West as they beat their division rivals, the Broncos. The Raiders score 17. The Broncos score 16. Raiders are 1-0. Broncos are 0-1. I don't really have anything to say about this game. It wasn't a pretty game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy G had to come out of the game, but he ended up coming back into the game. It was just, it was a thing. The Raiders are top of the division now. Congratulations. It won't last long. But, they beat their division Broncos, which I don't expect the Broncos to be great this year, but I definitely thought they would win this game. But hey, they didn't. So we keep it moving. The Rams disrespected 12-man as they beat the Seahawks at home. Rams scored 30. Seahawks scored 13. Rams improved to 1-0. And obviously the Seahawks fall to 0-1. They just dominated the Seahawks. They just looked more prepared. And that Geno Smith, oh my God, that.
On third down, Smith, pressure comes late and it's incomplete. That pressure coming from Aaron Donald.
Oh, that's some funny stuff right there. You heard him exclaim that. And that was funny to me, because if Aaron Donald's bearing down on you too, you gonna scream the same thing. So interesting situation. That was a a division game. And so now the Rams are up 1-0 on the Seahawks for the division. And I do think it is between those two teams. Because the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. So it is the 49ers are in there too. So we'll see what happens. Let's keep it moving. The Dallas Cowboys, in epic fashion, they beat the Giants down to size as they whoop up on them in their own house. A shutout on this one. The Cowboys score 40, the Giants score 0. And this was an NFC East battle. Man, they get 7 sacks. I mean, the Cowboys just bested them in every phase of the game. I mean, oh, wow. Anywho, let's keep it moving because the Giants, man, the Giants were bad. Let's keep it moving. Monday night, the Bills at the New York Jets. The Bills get jettisoned. Bills 16, Jets 22. They get jettisoned by Zach Wilson. Man. So, of course, 4 plays in, Aaron Rodgers, I can't even remember the injury, but it's a bad injury. And it's a season-ending injury. I don't want to say it was Achilles tear. I don't want to say it was ACL because I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's one of those season-ending injuries. And Robert Saleh he saw it and he knew it. And that replay that they're showing where his calf muscle just looked like it popped. Whoa. But Robert Saleh knew it immediately. And yes, they pivoted, but man, he saw his Super Bowl dreams come crashing down on the 5th play of the game. I saw it in his eyes. And I'm sure he didn't want to show that kind of emotion about that situation in that moment, but man, that was brutal. But let's go to the Bills. I don't know. I haven't had no faith in the Bills all this offseason. I don't think they're going to be that good. I figure they'll make the playoffs, but they'll just eventually find the same fate. I see people thinking the same exact thing I'm thinking on various levels, obviously. Various levels. Some people think that they're going to make the playoffs, but they'll be kicked out of there in the wild card, which is the lowest they've gotten kicked out since Josh Allen has been there. Some people don't think they're going to make the playoffs at all, which leaves the door open for the Miami Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets. Some people expect Josh Allen to regress. Some people expect, I almost call that man Marshawn Lattimore, Diggs, Stephon Diggs to do something drastic. And after last night, a lot of our speculation on the Bills could end up being correct. What I saw on the Bills sideline after they lost that game to Zach Wilson in a throw to Garrett Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me if I'm incorrect on who the gentleman was that caught that pass, but to see and no doubt, I understand losing close ones gets to you. I get it. I really get it. Don't ask me how, or you can ask me. It's fine, but I understand it. Been there, done that. Bought t-shirts, but just to see how dejected and deflated the Bills were yesterday. I'm not yesterday, Monday. I think all of our suspicions might be right. I think all of our suspicions might be right. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I will say they're making the playoffs. But man, you're supposed to win against Zach Wilson. You're supposed to win against Zach Wilson. I understand Aaron Rodgers was the guy that you were expecting to play, but you're supposed to win against Zach Wilson, period. It didn't happen, though. So that's it for the recap. Let's go to our last segment of the show. So a few week one hot takes that I've seen all over the place. So while I'm telling you to relax, this whole thing is about relaxing. Let's embrace some overreactions. It's hot take. It's hot take season. And I thought I had well, I guess I don't. I thought I had a sound effect for that, but I guess I don't. So the Chiefs need to make a play for another wide receiver. Mike Evans. Is that a hot take? I don't know. Burrow being benched. That's a hot take. It happened. It actually happened. But I don't know if it's a hot take or whatever, but the Packers won the trade. Is that a hot take? I think it's way too early to say because Aaron Rodgers could actually come back next year. He could actually be something, but it's a 2-year deal. We'll never know until actually Aaron Rodgers retires, in my opinion, unless Jordan Love wins the Super Bowl this year, which I don't know. McDermott's defense wrote his career's obituary in Buffalo. Is that a hot take? You judge for yourself. Purdy is the second best late round draft pick QB. I thought he'd take a step back. He didn't look like he took a step back versus the Steelers. One of the last ones I have. The Jets need to go after Matthew Stafford. If we remember, Matthew Stafford was being shopped around last season. The Jets are a little desperate. Well, let's put it like this. They could be desperate. And this is the perfect time for you to take advantage of something like that. That's all I'm saying. And those are a few of the hot takes I saw this week. Thank you for listening. I appreciate everybody joining the show. Again, this is the 100-Yard Dash, where my name is you, and I am discussing the NFL, talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Again, you can find this. You can find this on YouTube. You can find it on Twitch. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on Twitter. I'm sorry, I almost said Twitter. You can find it on X. And you can look at the live stream there. If you're looking for the podcast, it's going to be under Chiefs Focus. And it's going to, in the episode, it will have the name 100-Yard Dash episode such and such and such. So keep that in mind if you're looking for the podcast. Again, I thank you for listening. And if there is nothing else that calls my attention, I am out. Deuces.